Blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatah Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushua. Ashirah. Natananawa. Ashabaf. Bashalawam. The water. Amen. The Alium. Ma'ah. English translation. Bless our Yahweh in the name of Yahushua that gives to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it. The Alium Ma'ah. Asherayim Akkad. Psalm 121. Anya, Rayam, Ayenimya, O, Harayam, Mayan, Yabua'a, Isaiah, Yabua'a, Mayahawa, Shaisha, Shamayam, Warataza, La'a, Yanathan, Lamawat, Wagalia, Yala'a, Yanawam, Shashomaka, Ana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayishan, Shashomar, Yasharala, Yahawa, Shamaya, Yahawa, Tazalia, Ayab, Yad, Yad, Yawumam, Ashamash, La'a, Achaya, Rayarat, La'a, Balayala, Yahawa, Yashamoya, Makal, Rai, Yashamor, Napasha, Yahawa, Yashamor, Awalakia, Wabuaya, Waitha, Wa'aid, Aiwalam, Bahasham, Yahausha, the water, Amen.
Psalms 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall not slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore.
Amen. Shema Yasharala, heal Israel. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Allah Hainawa, Yahweh, Akkad, Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Allah Hainawa, Yahweh, Akkad, Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Allah Hainawa, Yahweh, Akkad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
Amen. Yahweh Tapala, Yahweh Spirit. Abiyanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakovka, Taba'a, Ratazawanka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Ka, Bashamayim, Natananawa, Lakam, Yawam, Za, Wasalaknawa, Ka Wafnawa, Kasalaknawa, Ka Wafyanawa, Wala'a, Abiyanawa, O, Nasai 1, Abo, Awashainawa, Murai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakov, Wa'ala, Wataparat, Laiwulam, Amen.
Matthew 6:9. After this manner therefore pray, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Ashura Matazawaf, the Ten Commandments. La'a, Yahaya, Laka, Alahayam, Alkaryam, Alpanya, La'a, Daisha, Laka, Paso, Wala'a, Daibadam, La'a, Talakwaka,
Talakwaka,
Shamwa,
Shamwa,
Yahawa,
Yahweh,
Lahaika,
Laraika,
Lashua,
Ashua,
Zakar,
Zakar,
Ah, Hayawam,
Ayawam,
Ashabaf,
Ashabat,
Lakodashwa,
Lakodashwa,
Kabad,
Kabad,
Abiaka,
Abaka,
Wa Amaka,
Amaka,
La'a,
La'a,
Tuatazak,
Taratazak,
La'a,
La'a,
Tana'ap,
Tana'ah,
La'a,
La'a,
Taganab,
Taganah,
La'a,
La'a,
Taina,
Taino,
Shakur,
Shakur,
La'a,
La'a,
Takamad,
Takamad,
Ko,
Kad,
Ashura,
Asherah,
La'aika,
Laraika.
Aman.
Exodus 20:2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and holiday. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Aman Yashab, please be seated. Barakata Yahweh, Basham Yahushai, Asherah, Natananawa, Paya Gapan, Tuara Aman, La Yahweh, Basham Yahushai, Afya Sha'ala. English translation. Bless our Yahweh in the name of Yahushai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh in the name of Yahushai. I might upon you, are you Ashalom, stand and face Jerusalem. Repeat the Hebrew only. Barakata Yahweh,
Barakata Yahweh,
Hagadol,
Haggadah,
Bakaram,
Rakawan,
Abiyo,
Abiyah,
Wanawa'a,
Wanawa'a,
Ali1,
Ali1,
Malak,
Malak,
Shaw, Shemayim,
Shamayim,
Rarataza,
Baratiza,
Wako,
Wakal,
Dabaryam,
Dabarim,
Kayayim,
Kayayim,
Wagam,
Wakam,
Amashiach,
Amashiach,
Mayahawa,
Mayahawa,
Adawadnawa,
Adawana,
Ahabnawa,
Ahabna,
Hapala,
Apala,
Yahaitaza,
Yaraitiza,
Yahushai,
Yahushua,
Zakarnawa,
Zakarna,
Yahawa,
Yahweh,
Batazawan,
Baratazawan,
Aimka,
Aimka,
Yasha'ala,
Yasha'ala,
Aizonawa,
Aizana,
Bana,
Mana,
Wa Asap,
Wasap,
Yasha'ala,
Yasha'ala,
O,
Al,
Nanawa,
Nanawa,
Yamyan,
Yamyan,
Aitha,
Aita,
Kaiwamiam,
Kayawomya,
Makudam,
Makodam,
Babukushai,
Babusha,
Shalak,
Shalak,
Maika Allah,
Maaka Allah,
Watazwadak,
Watazwadak,
Alahayam,
Alahayam,
La,
La,
Magunnawa,
Magannawa,
Wapannawa,
Rapanawa,
Washimor,
Ashumor,
Alnawa,
Alnawa,
Baikor,
Baikor,
Shalak,
Shalak,
Arokha,
Aroka,
Shal,
Shah,
Yahushai,
Yahusha,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Lalabudnawa,
Lamadnawa,
Rabiam,
Rabiam,
Kakama,
Kakama,
Tabawana,
Tabawana,
Wadaif,
Wadai,
Shal,
Shah,
Tabarka,
Tabarka,
Basham,
Basham,
Yahushai,
Yahusha,
Tawada,
Tawada,
Tamyad,
Tamyad,
Baiwalam,
Baiwalam,
Aman.
Aman.
English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth and all things living, and also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel. Most High, we beg you right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the Spirit of Yahweh Shai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always and forever, so be it. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the law. Barak ta Yahweh,
Barak ta Yahweh,
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Yahusha,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Nathanawa,
Tananawa,
Atharoth.
Atawara.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the light to see. Barak ta Yahweh,
Barak ta Yahweh,
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Yahusha,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Nathanawa,
Tananawa,
Awor, La Arat.
Awara.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the ringstone to call the people. Barak ta Yahweh,
Barak ta Yahweh,
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Yahusha,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Nathanawa,
Tananawa,
Koran,
Koran,
Hayol,
Haya,
La Korah,
Lakara,
Ha'ain. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Barak ta Yahweh,
Barak ta Yahweh,
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Yahusha,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Nathanawa,
Tananawa,
Asheman,
Asheman,
Zayaf,
Zayat,
Ramashak,
Lamashak,
Yasha Allah.
Yasha Allah.
Yesha, please be seated. All right, Shalom, Yashala.
Shalom.
All right. Welcome to Hayashala Kanas, where we teach the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, so-called, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. They are the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. Welcome to the Sabbath service, where we come every week on the seventh day, as we just read in the book of Exodus, that we come and worship the Most High. And Hayashala Kanas stands for the Congregation of Israel. Currently, we are broadcasting on the internet, and also we on the live stream from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For those of you listening on the conference line, watching us online, we say welcome to you as well. Today's reading is going to be in the book of John, the second chapter, and also we will read John, the third chapter. All right, so get your book ready, your Bible, also your notebook, so you can take notes on what will be the topic of today and the scriptures that we will bring out so that you can further yourself and educate yourself in the truth as we continue in our journey to the kingdom. Once again, the so-called Negroes and Hispanics are the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. And it is our duty to come in every Sabbath, all right, to offer service to the Most High as a repetition. So, again, the book that we will be reading today is John, the second chapter. For introduction, my name is Kahan Pukward, and I am conducting the service today, as it is obvious. All right. So, I hope everyone had a Torah week. And as we close on this week, moving on to the next week, it is a blessing that we are able to still participate in the Sabbath service. Okay, so the book of John, second chapter. What's interesting in the book of John, the second chapter, we get to see Yahushua's debut in his ministry. How he began his ministry is of profound significance. And as he is the one that we should follow, we have to take heed and we have to pay attention to how he starts his ministry so that when one of us have a chance for the Most High to wake up, then we will have him as an example so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel to follow. So we will have him to follow step by step how he did it and use him as an example and follow him as a leader. So how did Yahushua start his leadership? So let's go to the book of Matthew, the third chapter. Right, we have leaders in all aspects of life. We have leaders in the house, first and foremost. The leadership starts in the house with the man raising a family. And then from that, it continues in the world, in our community, in different neighborhoods, and then in different organizations that we are accustomed to see. The difference with these types of leadership, most are earthly bound, right? So now we're going to have a chance to, or we do have a chance via Yahushua to follow a spiritual leader versus what we've used to in the world, earthly leaders. In order for one to begin to lead, one requirement or one step, the first step that one must do is to know him or herself, right? Because when we talk about leadership, we usually think of men, also women under men are leaders also in the household, right? So leaders are the influential people, right? That's the main objective of a leader, is to influence people thinking, right? Their behavior in at home, in society, in everywhere aspect of life we find a leader. So men and women are leaders, but in their proper perspective. So personal leadership is the number one to consider when we talk about leadership. The first person that we should be able to lead is ourselves. So if we cannot lead ourselves, it's going to be very challenging and almost impossible to lead anyone. So Yahushua starts his ministry by understanding himself, know who he is, and move from there. And two questions must be asked by anyone who aspires to be a leader, either in a household or anywhere that they inspire to become a leader. The first question is, who do I belong to? Right? The first question is, who do I belong to? Meaning, whose authority am I going to abide by? Whose audience? Right? By whose authority and audience that you will dedicate your life. So it starts with choices, right? Two questions that involve choice. One, whose am I? Second, who am I? Right? So whose am I? Once again, choosing primarily the authority for my life. Who's the number one authority on my life? Who am I going to listen to? Who am I going to listen to? So Yahushua starts by define who he belongs to. All right. So let's go to Matthew chapter 3 and verse 13 before we start John chapter 2. Matthew chapter 3 and 13. All right, so let's see what it says. Keep in mind, we're defining Yahushua in its first aspect of leadership, which is personal leadership. Being able to run himself before he can start running his disciples, or run his disciples righteously, right? Chapter 3, verse 13 reads, Then cometh Yahushua from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. Right? So his first, to show who he belongs, he came to John to be baptized. So now let's see what transpired when he went to John. Verse 14. But John forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee, and cometh thou to me? So now John forbade him. So as John forbade Yahushua, so now we're gonna see who Yahushua gonna follow. Is he gonna follow John and he's gonna follow himself, or who is he gonna follow? Who Yahushua take commands from? So who's his boss? Who he belongs to? Right? Who's Yahushua's boss? Who's Jesus Christ's boss? So he has to define who is his boss first, right? Who he belongs to. Let's read on. It says, and Yahushua answered said unto him, suffer it to be so now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. Right? To fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him, and Yahushua, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were open unto him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lightning upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. So automatically right there in there, he established who he belongs to, who he's going to listen to. Not John, but the Most High. So the Most High is the boss. So he decides who he belongs to. So now, in contrast to people and leadership in the world, we can see, right, how they demonstrate whose they are by how they define success in today's world, right? They think success, right, is about earthly powers, about position, about performance, right, about other people's opinion. So Yahushua was not gonna go by other people's opinion or what John thinks. He's gonna go about what the Most High thinks. And as we read, he's gonna continue to reiterate that to show that it is the Most High that he's gonna listen to. So that is number one, personal leadership. Know who you belong to. So in any situation, you got to know who you belong to. Second, who was Yahushua, right? Who am I? So he had to define who he is, know himself before he can lead anybody once again. Let's go to stay in Matthew. Let's go now to Matthew chapter 4 and verse 11. Matthew chapter 4 and verse 11. All right, Matthew 4, chapter 11 reads, then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and minister unto him. So now let's read up above in verse 4. In verse 4, I'm sorry, verse 1 in chapter 4. So then we're going to read above. Chapter 4 in Matthew in verse 1. Then was Yahushua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. So now he was led to the wilderness to be tempted of the devil because he had to prove himself first. He had to prove himself first who he is and how he will react under temptation. So once he does that and he passed the test, now he'll be ready, right, to teach other people or to lead other people. So he had to learn how to lead himself first and then lead other people, right? So then was Yahushua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. So again, in verse 3, it says, and when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God. So now he tested him to see if he know who he is, if he confirm, if he has the firm conviction that he is the Son of the Most High. So he has to go through that test. Right? Verse 4. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High, out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city and setteth him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, it shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Once again in 7, Yahushua said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So everything is referring back to whose he belongs, whose word that he's going to abide by, and also confirming who he is as Yahushua. Verse 8, again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, So this is to touch on the earthly powers. They define or they demonstrate their leadership and success in leadership based on possession, based on performance, right? Based on earthly material things, right? That's how they define success. But Yahushua, all these things that people in the world in leadership position they presented to him, and he rejected those offers, knowing that he belongs to the Most High, only the Most High that he should serve, right? And these things gonna turn around to be under his command anyway. So, and said unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then said Yahushua unto him, get thee thence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angel came and ministered unto him. So now he graduated from personal leadership. Now he's going to get baptized by John and be ready to begin his team leadership, right? Personal leadership. Now he's moving from personal leadership, lead himself. Now he's moving towards team leadership. Now he's going to start recruiting people that's going to be part of the team. All right, so now we can begin chapter 2, all right, based on those scriptures that we just mentioned. First of all, personal leadership, then team leadership. And we know what follows, how he started to recruit Andrew, and then Andrew came and got Simon Peter. Simon Peter went and got Philip, right? So the recruiting starts right there. Now he's ready to lead. So again, those two scriptures was Matthew 3:13 and then Matthew 4, verse 1 to 11. So everything is a process. Yahushua did everything accordingly and in order. It didn't one day come up and say, John, I'm gonna start where you start. And he did everything in order. He took John's place, and then he started from recruiting from ground zero. and move forward towards from there. All right, so now let's start in John now, chapter 2. And it says, in the third day, there was a marriage. So now when he said, when John start right there, said in the third day of his ministry. In the third day of his ministry. And if you read chapter 1, you'll see how he start, right? When Andrew and Simon asked him where you live. And he told them where he lives, and they go and abide with him. And then the next day, they went to one city, and then after that, and move forward. So now they're in the third day of his ministry. That's why it says it's like 2 days after, or the days after, the 2 days after, in the third day. All right, so in case you were wondering why it says in the third day, the third day of his ministry. And in the third day, there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee. And the mother of Yahushua was there. And both Yahushua was called and his disciples to the marriage. So now there was a wedding, right? And Yahushua was invited to the wedding, and his mother was also there. So as Yahushua travel from one city, start to travel from one city or from area to the next area, or from one community to the next community, he's not, in one place. You start working, and now there's a wedding that's going on. But at that wedding on that day, his mother was already there. Okay? Based on what we're going to read, we're going to see certain things here that we can identify or we can imply based on context. So again, verse 2. And both Yahushua was called and his disciple to the marriage, meaning they were also invited. Verse 3. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Yahushua said unto him, they have no wine. So imagine when back then, even unto today, we have it in our custom. When we have a feast, everybody brings something. And even when we have feasts, somebody would send so many sheep, so many bull, right? We bring provision. People contribute, right, to make it possible. And even today, we keep the same custom because the Most High said, do not appear empty, right? Somebody got to contribute something, right? So perhaps traveling, teaching, they may have show up late at the wedding, right? While the wedding is going on, they show up late. So for example, if we have, sometimes we have Kahan Zabak come to town, right? Let's say Kahan Zabak happened to come to town, and we have here at the school, we have something going on. And we heard Zabak come to town. Hey, Zabak, come with your crew. So automatically, being an Israelite, Zabak say, what to bring? You guys have enough yayan? You have enough yayan? Because we did not make provision, right, enough. And being back then, it's not like today. You can go to the corner store and order some wine right out in there. You have to plan it ahead of time, right? So when they got to the wedding, the wine was gone. And Yahushua and the disciples, they wanted some wine, right? And the wine was finished. So let's see what happened. And before we move forward, let's read in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha. And y'all you can read it. Apocrypha chapter 35, verse 4. Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha chapter 35 and verse 4.
Ecclesiasticus 35 verse 4. Thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord.
Keep going.
For all these things are to be done because of the commandment.
Read on.
Verse 6. The offering of the righteous maketh the altar fat, and the sweet savor thereof is before the Most High.
Read on.
The sacrifice of a just man is acceptable, and the memorial thereof shall never be forgotten.
Correct.
Give the Lord his honor with a good eye, and diminish not the first fruits of thine hands.
Right. So pretty much giving, it's a blessing. So in everything we do, it could be a free will offering. You go into a service, you bring some free will offering. Aside from what you give in tithes, you also bring some free will offering to contribute, because you come into the service and you get. More so, we have to get accustomed to giving more than we want to receive. And eventually, if it's done in righteousness, you have nothing to worry about, but you will get rewarded as the Most High said it. Okay? So always bring something, right? And Yahushua, being that he's a righteous man, we're going to find out what he did. So let's read on. St. John, the 2nd chapter. Now, we are at verse 3 once again, going to verse 4. Verse 3, it says, and when they wanted wine, the disciple asked for some wine. The mother of Yahshua said unto him, they have no wine, because the wine is finished. Yahshua said unto her, woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. So now one might say, why Yahushua saying this to his mother? Right? It says, women, what have I to do? Because there's no wine. And she put it to Yahushua, there's no wine. Notice it was not a command. She just made a statement. Right? She just made a statement that there's no wine. She identified to Yahushua, there's no wine, and that's a problem, right? She didn't dictate to him, there's no wine. And in the manner of which Yahushua said it, let's read it again. Yahushua said unto her, woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. You saying this to your mother? Right? The way, in the manner. So let's read some scriptures on when somebody say, what have I to do with you? Let's read some scripture. Let's go to Judges. Judges 11 in verse 12. Judges 11 in verse 12. All right, Judges 11 in verse 12 reads, and Jephthah sent messenger unto the king of the children of Ammon, saying, what hast thou to do with me, that thou art come against me to fight in my land? So just because of that, it's like Yahushua, it's like they have Yahushua have an issue with her mom, right? But that's not the case. And why did he say it in the manner that he said it? Again, let's get some more example. Let's get some more example. Let's go to Samuel 16 and 10. 1 Samuel. First Samuel. You can read it, Kahan Yaukanan, once you have it. 1 Samuel 16 and 10.
First Samuel 16 and 10. Again, Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, the Lord had not chosen.
Sorry. 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel 16 and 10. Salakia. Mm-hmm.
2 Samuel 16 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
2 Samuel 16 and 10. And the king said, what to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord to him, curse David, who shall then say, wherefore hast thou done so?
So pretty much when somebody says something like that, it's almost like, what dealing I have with you? So Yahushua said to her, what dealing I have with you, woman? Or woman, what dealing I have with you? So now, the mother and son's relationship. In Yahushua's case, Yahushua pretty much reiterate, I don't have respect of person. Even if it has to do with my mother, it's only the Mosai that I'm gonna follow. All right, I'm gonna follow the Mosai, right? Only. Even though you are my mother, he reiterate that only the Mosai that I'm gonna follow. And if I come to do anything and anything that I'm gonna be doing, so he's preparing for what he's about to do. What he's about to do, not to do the bidding of his mother, but to glorify the Most High. All right. So he had to do that clear. And now she, being humble or full of humility, it went over her head. What he said went over her head. She did not get upset, and we're gonna see what her reaction was. Okay. So Yahushua wanted to make sure that he is about the Most High's business, right? And no respect of person, even my mother. All right. So let's go to one more scripture on that. Let's go to John 19 and 26. St. John 19 and verse 26. And he said, my hour is not yet come. What does that have to do with wine is finished? So putting low things in their mind to get their mind ready of what's about to what is going to happen, because he's about to get crucified. So he started by putting low things here and there, but she did not understand what he said, but then she did not even want to question him about it. All right. And we're gonna see as we read, we're gonna see her humility, a sense of humility as the mother of Yahusha. You know how sometimes you have some kids say, "Ah, yeah, he's special. He's special. He I don't know. He think different, right?" So let's go to Matthew. I'm sorry, John 19:26 again. John 19:26. Saint John. So when he said that not to not as a sense of disrespect, but a sense of showing that even though you're my mother, but I'm about God's business. So everything that I'm gonna do is to glorify the Most High, not because you asked me, but because I want to glorify the Most High. Actually, she did not even ask. She just made a statement about the wine is finished. Trusting that Yahushua will do something. As to what he's gonna do about it, she left it up to him to decide. But she just made a statement. (19 and 26) reads, when Yahushua therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by, whom he loved, he said unto his mother, "Woman, behold thy son." Right? So this is when you start saying woman in the verse, this is not a sense of disrespect like some people would put it. It is something that is clear. And then is in today time when they start making translation and start making seems like Yahusha said sometimes in the new, I believe in the NIV, it said dear woman. It did not say dear woman. So it's because say that the way Yahusha said it is a sense of disrespect. So they put the dear woman in front of it. Okay. It says right here, woman, behold thy son. Then said he unto his disciple, behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. All right. So remember, at the same time, when they said, "This is thy mother," when his mother was looking for him, and he said, "Here's thy brother and thy brother. He or those that do the will of my Father who in heaven." So just reiterate, he's about the Most High's business. All right. So I think I have one more on that. It's Mark 1 and 24. Let's go to Mark 1 in verse 24. All right, Mark 1 in verse 24, read, saying, "Let us alone, thou Yahushai of Nazareth." So that's what you remember that scenario when Yahushai got to the one of the cities, and there was the man that was that had the devil, or that had the spirit on him, the evil spirit on him. They thought Yahushua came to do them harm. So they recognized him right out in there. And they said, verse 24 again, saying, "Let us alone. What have we to do with thee, thou Yahushua of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee who thou art, the Holy One of Yahushua." So when someone said, "What have I to do with thee?" this is in reference to what we just read right here, John chapter 2, verse 4, what Yahushua said to his mother. So Yahweh shall reiterate who he belongs to and whose order he's gonna follow. All right, so let's read on. John, let's go back to John, the 2nd chapter. All right, John 2. Now we at verse 5. So there's no wine, right? Yahushua unto her, woman, come, went right over her head. And in response to that, his mother said unto the servants, whatsoever he have said unto you, do it. So that was the answer that she gave. Right? She just bypassed anything that he said, but it's about planting seed. Yahushua was planting seed about, him getting ready to, he's gonna die. So he's planting the seed right from the get-go. Says, my hour is not yet come. Right? Something that had nothing to do with the wine and anything that she said, but he's planting the seed. Okay? Let's go, move on. Verse 6. And there was set there 6 water pots. And keep in mind, she believes in Yahushua too. She believes in Yahushua. She has faith in Yahushua. But Yahushua also, him not going to the cross yet and not yet die to save Israel, any trust you have in him, any faith you have in him is at that point immature. It's a little bit immature, meaning he's not grounded. Then after when he died, then we can have some shaky faith. We can try again. We can mess up and try again. Not because he died. Now it's sealed. But prior to him dying, that faith is not yet sealed. We have that faith, and if the faith is shaky, it's not yet grounded, and that's not good for us. So that's why he kept saying, my hour is not yet come, because he hasn't died yet for when we sin, right? That we have a chance again because he died. At that point, he had not died yet. So he kept putting the seed had not yet come yet, right? Also, just to put the emphasis on, she believed that he could do something about the wine. She doesn't know what he's gonna do, but she believes that he could do something. That's why she put the statement to him, right? Now let's see what he's gonna do. What's verse 6 now? And there was set there 6 water posts. After the mother told the servants to whatever he said, just do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone after the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Right? We cannot emphasize this more, right? The mother and son's relationship again. You nurture the baby, but you know there's something special about the baby. You just cannot put your finger on it. Right? So he's like, yo, whatever you're doing, yeah, that's my son. So, I brought him up. I know him as much as I could, but he's a special, he thinks differently. Right? So whatever, I know he could do something, I don't know what he's gonna do, but it's up to him. Right? So whatever he has, just do it. So now Yahushua is moving on with what he's gonna do now with the situation at hand. They need wine, and the wine is finished. Verse 6. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. So it's those like big stone that they have water in it, and that's what we used to use as Jews, right? To bathe and to wash ourselves. So it ended that they fill them up with water, right? 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. 2 or 3 firkins apiece, right? It's like a keg. It's like keg, but they have kegs. You can count how many gallons, like 20 gallons per keg, right? About in verse 7. Yahweh said unto them, fill with water, and they filled them up to the brim. So meaning all the way to the neck. Okay? And he said unto them, draw out now and bear unto the governor of the feast, and they bear it. So now she said, just get a little bit, take it to the person in charge of running the wedding. So take it to him. So now when the servant took some wine to him, we're gonna find out what. But before we move forward, for verse 6, go to Mark 7 and 3. For verse 6, Mark 7 and verse 3. Mark 7 and verse 3 read, for the Pharisee and all the Jews, except they wash their hands often, eat not, holding the tradition of the elders. So this is after, when it says after the in verse 7, fill the water pot. Verse 6 it says, and there were set there with water pot stone after the manner of the purifying of the Jews. So we always have that custom of washing our hand. The water's got to be ready when we get ready to eat, right? So after the tradition of the elders. So that's something that we used to do, right? That's pretty much the reference here in Mark 7 and 3. So let's go back to John now, continue with the wine story. In verse 8, verse 9 now. And when the ruler of the feast had tested the water that was made wine, and knew not when it was, but the servant which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom. So now check this out, right? They took some to him, and he tasted it. You don't know where that wine come from, because that wine tastes differently than the wine they've been drinking. He said, man, that's some good wine. And there was no wine. Where's that wine come from? But guess what? Yahushua kept a low profile. That's why the servant knew where the wine come from, but the governor did not know who made the wine. But Yahushua knew he did it, but he kept a low profile. Why? Because him being in that position, he's at the wedding. Let the bridegroom get the credit. He made the miracle, and the bridegroom get the credit, because that's their thing, right? His job is to make sure that he glorified the Most High and also instilled trust in the disciples that were with him, because early in his ministry, the very first thing that build relationship, in order for people to trust you, they must see that you can do some things. You must prove that you the son of the Most High, and the Jews require a sign. They want to see what you're holding, what you got, what you're working with, right? And in the meantime, while you're building trust by doing the miracle, he's glorifying the Most High. So by them believing on him and trusting him, now Yahweh, the Most High, is glorified because he's the son of the Most High. Yet he kept a low profile. Why? Because his hours has not yet come. So he kept a low profile. So it was not that he wanted to be seen or show off. He just did it just so that trust can be instilled in the disciples, right? First and foremost. it also glorified the Most High. And we're going to find out what was the reaction of the bridegroom, right? As we seen the reaction of the governor of the feast. He didn't know where the wine came from. So oftentimes, we got to ask ourselves, we get some blessings. Do we ever think where the blessing comes from? Do we ever think? Or we just receive it? Oh, man, that's some nice stuff. But did we ever think where it come from and thank the Most High for that blessing? So that's another aspect to consider, right? Everything that we enjoying right now, everything we see is because of the Most High. But how often do people in the world think back and say, man, thank the Most High for making this possible? Or do we see the hand that brings it and think that, it's that person that really, make things happen? And this is what we're going to see when the governor called the bridegroom, right? Because he believes that the bridegroom deserves the credit, but not knowing where the wine comes from. But Yahushua made it happen. Read on in verse 9. I'm sorry, verse 10 now. And said unto him, every man at the beginning do set forth good wine. And when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, but thou hast kept the good wine until now. Now check this out, right? Usually at a party, as they are accustomed, they bring good wine first. All the fermented wine, well-made wine, right? By the winery, they bring all the good tasting wine first. You call the bridegroom, he said, man, usually, all the good wine come out first. But you, at your wedding, you kept good wine all the way to the end. So this is the implication that I was bringing earlier, that it's perhaps the disciples, they show up in Yahushua, they show up late. This explains why the wine was finished at the end. That's why the man said they usually bring the good not the bad wine, but the less, quality wine at the end. But you, even at the end, you got good wine going on. Even at the end of the wedding, you got the good wine going on. They show you also the good wine as we see it, not just as a physical thing. We got to see it even at the end. Yahushua from the beginning, even at the end, right, is gonna bring good thing to the children of Israel. So, like they say, you save the good thing for last. So usually it's at the beginning you got good wine, even towards the end, we have even the better wine. That's why the man said, man, where's this wine come from? Right? Even at the end, we got good wine. And that wine, it tastes differently from even the good wine that we drank earlier. Right? So this is the blessing that comes from having Yahushua in our presence, or invite Yahushua in our lives. So when we invite Yahushua in our lives and decide that he's the one that we're going to follow, good things going to happen even at last. Right? Even at last, great things going to happen when we invite Yahushua. When we decide that we're going to give control to Yahushua, in Deuteronomy 30, we're going to choose life. Once we do that, we invite Yahushua in and start allowing him to fulfill the Most High's mission for our lives. Even at the end, good things happen.
Psalms 126.
Psalms 126.
Psalms 126 and 1. When the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter, and our tongue with singing. Then said they among the heathen, the Lord had done great things for them.
Con. So when we think we have no hope, when we see that everything happen around us, we being, at the bottom, we think we finished, that's where the party just begins. Why? Because of Yahushua. Because of Yahushua's grace. Verse 11. Let me read verse 10 again. And said unto him, every man, now that's the bridegroom, calling him and give him credit for having good wine at the end. While Yahushua kept a low profile, he the one that did the miracle. And he sent the servant forward, but the servant knew who did it. It's just kind of like Yahushua let, like the scripture, one of the scriptures says, he called us our friend, right? Even the servant knows what the master is doing, right? Even the servant knows what the master is doing. So that's why he called us our friend. Something great like that, the servant knew, but the governor didn't know where it come from. But the servant knew where the wine come from and who did the miracle. So we knew, as the servant of the Most High, Yahushua give us a sneak peek on everything. We know some of the mysteries that are happening right now, where people on high who supposedly have knowledge, they don't know what the heck is happening, but somebody on a low level know that we are the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. But somebody might be considered high society, yet he doesn't know where he come from. He doesn't know his nationality. But somebody speaking in the corner knew his nationality. Why? Because the servant knows what the master is doing. So at that, you're no longer considered servant. We have a friendship going on with Yahushua. Right? So read on. In verse 11, this beginning of miracle did Yahushua in Cana of Galilee, and manifests forth his glory, and his disciples believe on him. Again, you see that the disciples were with him. They knew what he did. The governor did not know. The servant knew. The result, the disciple believe on him, and they glorify the Most High and Yahushua. So everything was done for the purpose of glorifying the Most High and Yahushua fulfilling his life mission. Let's go to John 1 and 14. Link with 2 and 11. Send 1 and 14. St. John chapter 1 in verse 14, read. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. The word was made flesh is Yahushua, made flesh, and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten Son of the Father, full of grace and truth. Okay, so that's when the disciple began, right, to behold his glory by that miracle. So everything was done specifically, and that explains why Yahushua spoke in that manner to his mother. This has nothing to do with you. This has to do with the Most High. So that us reading it today may get the understanding that this was done to glorify the Most High, not to glorify his mother, who made a statement to him about the wine is finished. All right. So, moving along, also read in John in chapter 11 in verse 40. St. John right? So when Yahusha say something at that point, he might went over the head for a specific purpose, because as we read in John, some of the stuff that he was talking about, they figured after he was risen from the dead. That's when they put two and two together. They match his word versus what he was doing and saying. Then they get the full picture. So that's why sometimes we find out something later, because at the time it wasn't for you to get. And her, again, being full of humility, she was not going to argue with Yahushua. Say, you know what? That's my son. I trusted him. And based on what he has been doing and I've been raising up, you know what? Whatever he say, just do it. Even I may not understand what he's saying now, but I know it's for my own good. Maybe later on I'll see it. That's humility. She didn't say, what? What do you say? What do you mean? We don't have wine. Right? She pretty much humbled herself and let him make the decision, or make his decision, make up his mind as to what he's gonna do as a man of the Most High. I said John 11 and 40. St. John 11 and verse 40. Okay, it says, Yahushua, it says, chapter 11, 40, Yahushua said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God? That belief system made him see the glory of the Most High. And from the beginning, Yahushua told him it's about belief. Right? It's about belief. Our belief system, it's what's going to make us see high things or low things. Our belief system will shape our attitude. It will make us fly either on low altitude or on high altitude. If our belief system is strong, we will fly on high altitude. So our attitude towards things that are happening and before us, things that we are experiencing, we'll think on them differently because of our belief system. So no one can live beyond a life beyond his or her belief system. If your belief is low, you cannot expect to fly on high. Right? So our belief system determines where we're going to be and how we're going to see things. So let's go to verse chapter 1 to see what Yahushua told Nathanael as the importance of having a strong belief. St. John chapter 1. John chapter 1 and verse 47. Actually, I'm looking for 49. No, actually, that's specifically what I'm looking for. St. John in verse 50. St. John 1 in verse 50 reads, Yahushai answered and said unto him, because I said unto thee, I saw thee under the fig tree, believest thou? Thou shalt see greater thing than these. Belief. I'll read it again. Because I said unto thee, I saw thee under the fig tree, believest thou? Thou shalt see greater things than these. So belief will make us see great things. Again, it will determine how high we fly, how far we can see, right? And how much we can accomplish. It's all stemmed from belief system. And our belief must base on Yahushua's teaching and believe on Yahushua. As Israelite, this should be the foundation of where we start. Belief. Go back to St. John now and read on. St. John, the 2nd chapter. And he says, after this, he went down Capernaum, he and his mother and his brethren and his disciple, and they continued there not many days. So now he pretty much went from doing something that is more I say he went from doing a miracle that is more fun than challenging. Now we're gonna see another aspect of Yahushua. After this, he went down to Capernaum, he and his mother and his brethren and his disciples, and they continued there. Not many days, and the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Yahushua went up to Jerusalem and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves and the changers of money sitting. So it's kind of like running with Yahushua. It's like one day you can be experiencing nice miracle. The next day it could be like a roller coaster. So we have to be ready for the ride. Right? We have to be ready for the ride. That's why Yahushua said, if you come to follow me, pick up your cross and carry your cross. Because it's not always easy road. It's not always easy, a smooth ride. Right? You're going to experience nice days and you're going to experience some challenging days. All right? So after nice wine, turn water into wine. That's nice. Now we experiencing him in the temple now. Let's see what he's doing in the temple. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overthrew the tables. So now that's a different Yahushua that you see at the wedding. Flipping tables, beat people up, right? Why? Let's read on. And said unto them, thou sold doves, take these things hence, make not my father's house a house of merchandise. Make not my father's house a house of merchandise. Reiterate again, he's about his father's business. He's about his father's business. And when somebody mess with the house of the Most High, the temple of the Most High, he's angry. So now think about Israel being the Most High's house, being the temple's house. Think about how much destruction he's going to do to the nations that destroy the Most High's house, the house of Israel. Link that with what just happened in the temple. He got very angry. So that's how he's going to get very angry when he came back to avenge what happened to us in slavery. We have been made merchandise as Israelites. Right? We have been sold into slavery. We have been subject to many things. Some of it, or most of it, self-inflicted, and some of it is because the other nation think that we have nobody to watch over us, so they take us for a prey. All right? So parallel that to us being considered the house of the Most High, the temple of the Most High, the children of God, we are the apple of his eyes. Think of what happened to us, and that's the same destruction that's going to happen at the end for what happened to the children of Israel. St. John 1, in verse 50, you read that already. So now let's continue on. And let's see, for verse 12. Now for verse 14 and 16, let's read Matthew 21 and 12. Matthew 21. Right? So on this life mission that the Most High have for each one of us, you don't know what to expect, right? But everything that happens, it's pointing to the kingdom. So this is one aspect, or this is the aspect of following, because it's like a roller coaster ride. Matthew 21 and 12. And Yahushua went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves. And he said unto them, it is written, my house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves. Okay? It made it a den of thieves. Back to John. St. John, the 2nd chapter. Verse 17. And his disciples remembered that it was written, zeal of thine house have eaten me up. The zeal of thine house has eaten me up. So now, as they see what Yahushua is doing, now the disciples are picking up speed. Now they're watching what he's saying now versus his action. Right? So they're watching what he is doing and not paying attention and trying to pinpoint or try to get a cue of what he's saying, because that man is deep. He says something here, you got to watch him so that you can get, some understanding of what he's saying. Watch his action. So let's go to Psalm 69 and 9 to get what we talk about here and what the disciples remember where it was written. Let's go to Psalm 69 and 9.
Psalm 69 and 9. For the zeal of thine house had eaten me up, and the reproach of them that reproach thee are fallen upon me.
All right. So Yahushua was pretty much fulfilling scriptures as he go along, but you have to be paying attention to see it, to figure it out. Right? Because keep in mind, a lot of the things that we see, Yahushua was speaking in parable. It's cryptic. So you have to decode it as you see it. It's like think, meditate on what you hear, act on what you hear, practice it. So watch me, what I say, watch my meditation, and watch my action. None of what I say will fail. So just if you watch me closely. Pretty much Yahushua has given him the cue on how to figure out that he's the Son of the Most High if they have the slightest doubt. Watch what I do and how I do it. And you're going to see it's going to go right back to what was already said. Some in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. Now let's go to 18. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, what sign showest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? So they asked Yahushua, what sign are you showing us, seeing that you're doing these things? What are you really showing us? Meaning, show us a sign that shows that you got the power to do what you're doing. Show us, do something to show us that you got the power to do what you're doing here. Because walking with Yahushua, following us, it required a spirit and it required right belief. Again, so you can keep flying on high altitude. So your eyes can be open and see on high. Right? And as you can see, it is a series of questions right in the heart of the scriptures, showing that the Most High have no problem with us asking questions. Because as John put it, in this journey in towards our destiny, or towards the end goal, make it to the kingdom, we are all in motion. We are all in motion, either going towards righteousness constantly or moving away from it, moving towards the light constantly or moving away from it. We all in motion. Nobody can say they know everything. Nobody can say they see everything in the scripture. The goal is keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep flipping the pages, looking for answers, because the answers are there. And some of the answers, we will get them when Yahushua makes his second coming. So the disciples was very inquisitive, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean you lack faith or you lack belief. As a matter of fact, our belief is constantly increasing and our faith constantly increasing. You say we can never, increase as much. You can never reach the top. It's like keep going because we can't figure out the Most High. So that's why we're always gonna have questions. Y'all can.
See, the disciples, we're men like us.
Okay.
So at times we question or think or certain things are hard, following Jesus Christ, how it's shy, And I just want to read it. John 6:65. John 6:65. And he said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except it were given unto him of my Father. Okay. Verse 66. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him.
Okay.
67. Then said Jesus unto the 12, will ye also go away? Then Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go?
Fine. So right, no one can come to the Yahushua unless you were chosen by the Most High, right, to go to him. So many of them stopped following after Yahushua. Why? Because they didn't believe that he's the son of the Most High. Was not as strong. So they got to a point where they fell off. Once you stop believing in something, it's hard for you to continue doing it because you don't believe in it. Right? So this was the dilemma of those disciples that turned away from following after Yahushua. Back to St. John, 2nd chapter. Now we at verse 19. So they asked Yahushua authority to do these things. Verse 19 says, Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? Again, this was a saying that went over their head. But it spake of the temple of his. When therefore he was risen, his disciples remember that he had said this unto them, and they believed the scripture in the word which Yahushua had said. There you go, right there. In the midst of the fight, as long as you have a righteous spirit, keep going, even though you don't understand. The disciples right there, they understand what he said, but they continue to abide because they believe on him. They believe on him because of some of the signs. And you see, sometimes when you believe based on what you see and you let that attract you and you stay on that level, some people stay on that level, stuck on the attraction. Move any higher to see more. So once that attraction is gone, that's it. Because their level of belief was based on what they saw Yahushua did, the miracles, but not beyond. And you have those who saw beyond what Yahushua did, even though they did not understand, they kept on following Yahushua. Afterward, everything revealed to them. In a situation, we don't always know the reason why certain things happen. After it happened, give it a couple days, a month, a year, you realize, man, I went through this. Now I realize why I had to go what I had to go through. This was part of the process, right? This was part of the process. So we all go through it, and the disciples went through it, and we continue to go through it. Okay, it's all part of the process. That's why it's important when in Philippians or Ephesians, in Philippians 4, chapter 4, you can read the entire thing, the entire scriptures. Paul is giving us is giving us a blueprint on how to keep thinking righteously. Because when we keep thinking righteously, we don't have to worry too much about what's going to happen, the reward that we're going to get. We automatically going to get the right reward because we've think on good things, we meditate on good things, we practice good things. Think, meditate, practice, and repeat. Think, meditate, practice, and repeat. And those good things are the good things of the Spirit. Think on high. When we think on high, we think on the best thing. And think on the best thing can bring some material, good thing, right? Because it can matches the good thing. Think about it. Yahushua, think on good thing. There's a lack of wine, then he bring best wine. But first, it starts spiritually. Think on good things, you will get good things. Spiritual things first, then it can magnify material things, but that is not the other way around for a righteous man. Again, Philippians chapter 4, Paul outlined a blueprint on how to do it. Be teachable. Number one, we got to have a teachable spirit. Because without a teachable spirit, knowledge can be all around us. We still remain stagnant because we don't have a teachable spirit. Open to learn. A teachable spirit. And then once we open to learn, we can start to see the goodness of the Most High through the scriptures. And from that, we can start thinking continuously, practice it. Think, meditate, practice. Let's go to Ephesians now. Let's go to Ephesians to see an example of what we're talking about. Ephesians chapter 3, Second. Let me make sure on the right. Get the right scripture. Check my note. Go to Ephesians. Check my notes. I give you the right bread. Ephesians chapter 4. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4. That's not what I'm looking for. Bear with me for a moment. I'm looking for a specific scripture. Okay, Philippians 4, verse 4 to 7. Philippians. All right, Philippians chapter 4. And you can read it once you have it. 4 to 7.
Philippians 4, verse 7.
4 to 7.
Philippians chapter 4, verse 4 to 7. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Should be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in every prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus.
Right. So verse 7 is what pretty much seals it, right? It tells us once we think right or be careful for nothing, but everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made unto the Most High, right? In verse 4, it says to rejoice always. To rejoice always. And again, he urging us again, I say rejoice. How do we rejoice on the Most High? we trust in Most High by keep thinking righteously. Right? In verse 7, it says, in the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your heart or mind to Christ Yahushua. So if your mind of Christ stay within Yahweh, stay on Yahushua, then you don't have to worry about how things gonna come out. You don't have to worry about how things gonna come out. You know automatically it's a given that it will come out right. It will come out correctly. Also, read Ephesians chapter 3. Ephesians chapter 3. Yeah, you could read that once you have it. Ephesians chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 17. (18 to 21).
Ephesians chapter 3, verse 18. May be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, to know the love of Christ which passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with all the fullness of God. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Verse 21. Unto him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus throughout all ages, world without end.
Right.
Amen.
All right. So reading this right here, it shows us, as I've been talking about, once we have that belief in Yahushua and start thinking rightly dividing the word of truth, thinking right, thinking correctly, fill our mind with the good things, because fulfilling our mind correctly is very important, to have our mind consistently staying on doing righteous things. It's important to fill our mind, but fill our mind correctly. So when we do that, we will find out the love of the Most High, and we will understand the Most High in depth. We'll have great length and understanding. As we read in John, the 2nd chapter, when we believe and our belief is high, then we will see big things, greater things. All right, so move back to John so we can finish up chapter 2. Back to St. John, the 2nd chapter. The feast day, many believed in his name, when they saw the miracles which he did. So many believe on his name when they saw the miracle which he did. So they believe on him based on the miracles. Based on the how attractive the miracles look. This was the basis of their belief. The basis of their belief is based on the miracle. But Yahushua understood all spirits. Let's read. But Yahushua did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men. He didn't trust them. He didn't commit himself to them. He trusts the Most High, because he knew their belief were based on what they saw him did. And verse 25, and needed not that any should testify of men, for he knew what was in there, what was in men. So he knew what was in men. Right? So he didn't need anybody to go out and investigate about Peter, about Andrew, about any of the disciples. You know how sometimes they say, watch this guy. Let me know what you think about him. Yahushua didn't any man to come and tell them what manner of man is this guy, what manner of man is that guy. He knew them all. So if he's the son of the Most High, he has power that was given to him by the Most High. And if the eyes of the Most High is 10,000 times brighter than the sun, then you can imagine how much you can see in their mind. You can see far. So that's why he did not need anybody to tell him or testify of any man. All right, so that concludes chapter 2 in John. We're going to take a brief recess. Right now it's 12:49. We'll be back at 1:30. All right, stay tuned. We'll be back. Shalom.